Hello everyone, today I am going to do the 23rd video of my web development practical video series. Today I am going to discuss the 23rd question in the question list. Let's go to our question list here. This is the web development question list, and let's go to the question 1 in day 5. This is also going to be the 23rd question in the row. Now I am going to read the question as usual, but before that I have to remind you we are continuing a question started from question 19. So if you didn't watch those previous videos, I think it's better you watch them first before watching this one, because I'm not going to discuss and explain the older parts we added to this web application, and let's go to our question now. Here's the question. Now you need to add relevant functions to your login page to remember who the logged in user is. In this case, first you have to create following sign-in page. Okay. Now we have to recreate the sign-in page, but you can see the only difference is this new option, remember me, and the sign-in page is same as the older one. And after that, now you have to develop the following scenario. If a client check the remember me and login successfully, client should be able to remember who the logged in user is, and after logged out, client should redirect to the index.php page. Okay, this is the index.php page. We created this in the previous videos, and after that you can see in the context, when the user select the remember me option and log in with his credentials, he should able to log into his home page, and after he signed out and again try to log in to the website, his email and password should be filled in email and password fields automatically if he click the or check the remember me option. If he didn't check the remember me option, that action is not necessary. So he have to type the email and password by himself. Okay. After that, here then client click the sign in button. The relevant email address and password should be set to the appropriate location on the sign in page. You can see that's what I explained before. And now I'm going to show you my design, and after that we can talk about the code I used to create this application. Okay, here is the design I created for this sign-in page, and you can see this is a very similar design to the image they gave us to refer. And now I'm going to use my database. You can remember, if you watch my previous videos, we created a database to store these client details who's registering with this web application, and I'm going to use one of those accounts. Here is the email and here is the password. You can see we make this website where we validated these fields in previous videos. When I click on sign in button, you can see it will show an error message to set the password, and if we don't set the password, it will show an error message. You need to set a password to your account. That's the error message, and let me copy the password, and I'm not going to discuss or explain the validation parts or the sign-in process because I already explained that in my previous videos. Now let's sign in as this user, but without click on the or check on the remember me function, and see what happened when I sign out and again try to sign in. Okay, let's click on the sign in button. You can see login success, and here is the welcome page. Now I'm going to click on the sign out button. Okay, here I press on the sign out button, and there's a pop-up. Do you really want to log out? I'm going to click on the OK button. Okay, here in the question, let me show you the question real quickly. Here is the question list, and here's the question mark. Okay, in the question you can see, if client check remember me and login successfully, client should be able to remember who the logged in user is, and after logout client should redirect to the index.php page. Okay, you can see this is the index.php page, and this is the design I created, and I redirected to this page after I press the sign out button. Now I'm going to click on this, go to the sign in page again, and here you can see when I need to sign in again, I have to type email and password by myself. But let's see what happened when I check the remember me function. Let's try another user, and here is a password. Now I'm going to click on the remember me function, remember me option. Okay, let's sign in. You can see I signed in same as the previous attempt, and let's sign out from this account again. And after that you can see when I click on the sign in button, my email and password is already typed automatically in the input fields. Now I can press I have to click on the sign in button only. Okay, this is the function we have to add in our web application. Now I'm going to show you the code. Here we are in Visual Code Studio, and here under day 5, this is the question 1. I'm going to show you the login page. Okay, here we are in the login file, and after that, okay, you can see this is a very simple HTML design, but there's very important parts to our remember me option. Here this is the remember me option. You can see the checkbox, and again I add a unique ID to this input field 2. You saw this in my previous videos. I will explain these parts after the input how the input field and password field will be automatically filled after someone register with the remember me option. Okay, you can see here's the remember me function, and I can click or check on this checkbox. And let's go to the function. I explain the sign in function. You know what will happen when the sign in function execute. This is the sign in function via the JavaScript file, and it will extract the details from the input fields, email, password, and AT means the checkbox for the remember me option, and it will all 3 values will be stored in a form object and sent to the server side. Here's the destination sign in process.php file. That's the file, and I use Ajax technology to transfer these details. Okay, when the request is sending to this sign in process.php file, the form object will be also sent to that file too. Okay, let's go to the sign in process. Okay, here's the sign in process.php file. I'm not going to explain all the codes because I already explained the sign in process 2 in the previous videos. Here this is the I'm going to brief those code lines. In the top, here's the database connection, and after that these are the validation parts. You can see these are error messages. You can't create an account without an email. That's the error code when there's an empty email. That means the user left behind this email input field and press the sign in button. And these are the validations. And after this else block, you can see if none of these conditions are met, it will execute this else code. That means there's no errors in the data user added. Okay. Here in the select query, here is the select query to check whether this email and password is already registered in our system, and after that you can see after I execute this SQL query, it will output a result set. If there's a user, his data will be stored in table format in SRS variable I created. And after that you can see I counted the rows in that result set and stored that number in a different variable, and I checked the value of that variable to find whether that number is equal to number 1. That means if there's a record, that means our user is a registered 1 and his data is recorded in SRS variable. So this function will these code lines will execute if it's not number 1. That means there's an error or the user didn't log in with our system. So it will output this error code, no account found. And here you can see I explained the fetch as a function. It will rip out the first or the remaining record of that result set in SRS variable and extract the details from the attributes and stored in different variables under the attribute name and stored in this sdata variable as a associative array. Okay, after that I access the user's session and created a variable called user and stored that associative array we create to store his data into that variable called user in his session. Okay, after that this is the new line I added. You can see I check if 80 value is equal to true. 80 is the variable, you can remember in the JavaScript file, 80 is the variable I used to store the boolean value which will output when we check the checkbox. If any user select the checkbox, the remember me option, it will output the boolean value true when we checking the value of this checkbox, and if it's not checked, it will output false. Okay, here I checked in the login sign in process.php file. I checked whether the value recorded in that 80 variable is equal to true. That means if it's checked or not. If it's checked, it will execute these lines, and if it's not execute, that means it's false, it will do nothing. Okay, let's see what happened. Someone select the remember me option. You can see this is a time object. In PHP they gave us an option to count the seconds from a specific date and to this current second, and stored that I created a new variable and stored that current time in that variable, and you can see it will calculate all the seconds until this current time from a specific date, and store that value in this variable. And it will do that process every time we call this PHP file and execute these lines of codes. Okay. And after that, here I created a cookie. Set cookie means we are creating a cookie, and here is the cookie name REME. REME means the email we have to remember, and I created a new cookie called REME, and here is the data I'm going to store. Sdata email. Sdata email is the data. Is the value of the variable we stored as an associative array using the fetch assoc function. Okay, you can see it will get the record from the database, and after that it will store those values under the names of the attributes in different variables, and I access the email value of the email variable in that associative array and store that value in this REME cookie. And after that I set how much time I need to remain this cookie in our client's computer. When a server-side file created a cookie, it will be created and sent to the server side with the response, and it will store that value as a cookie, and every time a client come to this website, all the cookies of this web application will send to the server side with the request, so we can access those files. Okay, here you can see I stored the user's email in his browser as a cookie, and this is the expiry time of that cookie. You can see I calculated the time to the current second, and here you can see this is a calculation 60. It will multiply by 60, multiply by 25, and multiply by 5. That means you can see I calculate the seconds for 5 days, and here I told you we are storing the data, we are storing the time in seconds, so I calculated how many seconds to 5 days. 60 means seconds, and here minutes, 60 means minutes, and when we multiply that minutes by 60, it will be hour, and 24 hours means 1 day, and I multiply it by 5, that means 5 days, and those seconds will be added to the current time when we are accessing this file. That means it will set a value. It will set the value to 5 days in future. Okay. After that, again I created another cookie, and this time its name is REMP, and I use this one to store the password of the user. And here you can see again I access the sdata, that's the associative array we created, and in that associative array I access the value of the password variable and stored that value inside that cookie. So email and password will be stored in our user's computer for 5 days, and after that it will send these 2 cookies and also the outputted value as number 1 with the response to the client side. You can see when we request to a server-side file like signing process.php, it will always send output to the client-side computer as the response. Now let's go to our JavaScript file. You can see this is the same login process we used in my previous videos. It will show the login success message if the user logged into the system successfully, and after that he will be redirected to the home page. And here, if it's not number 1, that means there's an error, so it will show the error code or error message in an alert. Okay, now let's go to the home page. There's nothing important to talk about in this home page. There's just the sign out button, and we use that sign out button to sign out from this page, and it will destroy our session. And when we don't have a session in server side, the site will not recognize us as a logged in user, so we can't access this page afterwards until we logged in. Okay, and you can see when we log out, let me show you in the logout page here. Again, after it automatically destroys our session, it will redirect us to the index page. Go to index page function will redirect us to the index page, and let's go to the index page. Sorry, not this one, this one, but there's nothing important in here too. When we click on the sign in button, we will be redirected again to the sign in page. Here's the sign in page. In this case, it's the login page, and here I left some codes behind, and I told you I will explain them now. I will explain them after I explain the remember me option. Here we are now in our login page, but now you can remember when we go through that login process, when we check the remember me function, it will create 2 cookies in our browser. Okay, let's go to our browser and log in again. But in this case, there's no need to log in. You can remember when I logged in last time with the remember me function checked. So now there will be 3 cookies created here in the cookie tab. Here you can see there are 3 cookies: PHP SSID, REME, and REMP. You can see the content here. This is the key the website will use to identify the user's session, and REME is the variable we created, and you can see here's the email, and after that REMP is the password of our user. So all 3 details are stored in cookies. Okay, and now let me explain this part. You can see when we creating or when we executing the design of the login page, first it will check whether there's a cookie called REME in and also REMP in our browser. So if there's a REME and REMP, that means he is a already logged in user with remember me function. So the values in those cookies will be stored in separate variables again called REME and REMP. And after that, this is the input fields which will create if he or she has email and password already stored in his or her browser, and if he or she didn't check the remember me function, so there can't be two cookies called REME and REMP, so it will execute these code lines. Okay, you can see these are the regular input fields with without any data, but in these input fields, if these these two fields will created, you can see in the input field there's a added attribute called value, and I use that attribute to set the value of the REME variable as the value. When we set a value in this input field, it will show this email like in this website, and also the password will be set as the value. That's the function which will execute if we use the remember me option. If we didn't use the remember me option, it will create the same input fields without any data. Okay, this is the whole process of the remember me function, and after everything, after 5 days, these cookies will be deleted automatically from our system or from our browser. So after 5 days, again we have to type our email and password by ourselves. And let's end this video by discussing about what happened when already logged in user with remember me function who has the cookies, email and password, and again sign in with the remember me function. You can see if he signed in again in the signing process, this one, again these two cookies will be created. But there's a theory, if we created a cookie with same names and same values but with different expiry date, it will update that, with same name, not with values, the same values or changed values and changed expiry dates, it will update that cookie. It will not going to create a new cookie, it will update the same cookie with the new data. So you can see when this function, the time function execute, it will calculate the current time when this signing process file execute, and added the seconds of 5 days ahead to that and again stored that updated set cookies in user's computer. So it will update the expiry time of the user. Okay, that's what will happen when an already logged in user with remember me function again logged in with the remember me function. And I think that's it for this video. We complete all the parts, and I think I explained all the requirements we need to gather. And that's it for this video. Let's see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.